I think I hurt someone.
We're diving into the terrifying details of what really happened. Now turn your lights off, sit back and enjoy.
This is Ed Warren, here with Lorraine. Alright, let's get started.
On July 18, 1981, demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren document the exorcism of 8-year-old David Glatzel, attended by his family, his sister Debbie, her boyfriend Arne Johnson, and Father Gordon in Brookfield, Connecticut. During the exorcism, Arne invites the demon to enter his body instead of David's. Now let's compare what we saw in the movie with what really happened. How did 11-year-old David Glatzel allegedly become possessed? According to the Conjuring 3 true story, in early July 1980, 11-year-old David Glatzel had been helping his older sister Debbie Glatzel and her boyfriend, Arne Johnson, clean up a Connecticut rental property they were preparing to move into. While at the property, David claimed to have encountered a burnt and black-looking old man who pushed him into a waterbed and said he would bring harm to them if they moved into the home. The movie's version of the encounter finds David being grabbed by a hand that bursts through from inside the waterbed, which is a fictionalized version of the actual account. After returning to his parents' home, David claimed that the old man continued to appear before him and talk to him. He described the man as having a white beard and wearing jeans and a flannel shirt. He said that the man's skin looked charred black as if he had been burned in a fire. David also saw the man in night terrors and had obtained unexplained bruises and scratches on his body. He would wake up screaming and described the man as having large sunken black eyes and animal-like features, including horns, hoofs, pointy ears, and jagged teeth. Aside from its dark eyes, the Conjuring 3 demon doesn't closely resemble what David described. When did the true story behind The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It take place? The real-life events surrounding the Devil Made Me Do It case, including the David Glatzel possession and his subsequent exorcisms, along with Arne Johnson's possession and murder trial, unfolded in 1980 and 1981. Were there any other signs of paranormal activity in the Glatzel home? Yes. The family claimed to hear unexplained noises coming from the attic. Demonologist Ed Warren said that banging and growling sounds were heard coming from the basement and he saw a rocking chair move on its own. During an interview with paranormal researcher Tony Spera, Ed also claimed that David's plastic toy dinosaur started to walk on its own toward the family. A deep voice could then be heard emanating from it, telling them, "Beware, you're all going to die." Did a priest come and bless the house? In the movie, Father Gordon, Steve Coulter, arrives to bless the home. Despite his name being changed for the film, according to the family, they did bring in a Roman Catholic priest to bless the house. Several priests were involved in the exorcism of the boy, David Glatzel, with the most prominent being Reverend Francis E. Vergilac. Did Lorraine Warren observe the demon? This is what Lorraine Warren claimed. And it was the Warrens who introduced the theory of demonic possession. Lorraine said that while her husband Ed was interviewing the possessed boy, David Glatzel, she saw a black mist materialize next to him, indicating that the demon was present. David's mother, Judy, had previously wondered if a ghost, not a demon, was the culprit, but the Warrens rejected the idea. Lorraine also claimed that she saw David being choked by invisible hands, and he remarked that he had the feeling he was being hit. She said that red marks could be seen on his neck afterward. Lorraine said that she witnessed David growl and hiss. She heard him speak in unrecognizable voices and said that he would recite passages from the Bible and John Milton's Paradise Lost. David's sister, Debbie Glatzel, said that he would also spit, bite, kick, and swear terrible words. She described powerful forces flopping him head to toe like a rag doll. Debbie said that she saw the demon once during one of her brother David's nighttime episodes. He manifested. Just a face on the wall. High cheekbones. A narrow chin. A thin nose. Big black eyes hidden in dark holes. He showed his teeth. She said it disappeared as quickly as it had appeared. Her description differs somewhat from the Conjuring 3 demon depicted in the Devil Made Me Do It movie. Ed Warren said in a 1981 Washington Post article, "Right away, I knew there was something to this. I felt like a good fisherman when he knows there's something on the line." Ed claimed that the boy had 43 demons inside of him, and that he had spoken their names. During an interview with paranormal researcher Tony Spera, Ed also said that the boy would exhibit extreme strength and that he once witnessed him levitate. Were exorcisms performed on David Glatzel? Yes. According to the Warrens, they oversaw 3 lesser exorcisms that David was subjected to. Lorraine Warren claimed that David levitated, ceased breathing, and even foreshadowed the murder that was going to happen. The local diocese said that the Catholic Church never sanctioned a formal exorcism. Did Arne Johnson challenge the demon to possess him instead of the boy, David Glatzel? According to The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It true story, this is allegedly correct. One of the demons supposedly went from the body of the boy, David Glatzel, into the body of his older sister's boyfriend, Arne Johnson, after Arne egged on the demon to leave David's body and possess him instead. According to demonologist Ed Warren, Arne yelled, "Take me on. Leave my little buddy alone." After a few days, David's condition improved, but Arne began to show signs that the demon had taken hold of him. The Haunting TV series episode Where Demons Dwell states that the demon took control of his car and forced it into a tree, leaving him startled but uninjured. The demon was also blamed for Arne's fall from a tree while working as a tree trimmer. Debbie claimed that he would hallucinate and growl. Arne said that his final lucid encounter with the demon was at the rental home when he was examining an old well, which supposedly housed the demon. According to Arne, he truly had become possessed when he made eye contact with the demon at the well. What were the circumstances surrounding Arne Johnson's murder of his landlord, Alan Bono? On February 16, 1981, 19-year-old Arne Johnson called in sick to the Right Tree Service where he was employed. He met his girlfriend Debbie, 26, at the Brookfield boarding kennels where she worked as a dog groomer. Alan Bono, who was also Debbie and Arne's landlord, invited them out to lunch at a local pizza parlor. By this point, Arne had supposedly been exhibiting strange behavior that was similar to what Debbie's younger brother David had experienced when he was allegedly possessed. At least, that's what Arne's attorney tried to argue at his murder trial. While they were at the restaurant for lunch, Arne Johnson and Alan Bono began to drink heavily. By the time they returned to the kennel, Alan was intoxicated. He grabbed hold of Debbie's 9-year-old cousin Mary and refused to let go. Arne ordered Alan to release Mary. When he finally did, the two men continued to argue in the driveway of the kennel. Debbie attempted to stand between them and Arne's sister Wanda tried to pull her brother away. According to what was stated at the trial, Arne then began to growl like an animal and pull out a 5-inch pocket knife, tree surgeon's knife, stabbing Alan Bono repeatedly. Alan suffered 4 or 5 tremendous wounds, mainly to his chest. He died at the hospital several hours later. Arne was taken into custody 2 miles from the scene by police. He claimed that he couldn't remember anything that had happened. The stabbing is believed to be the first murder in Brookfield, Connecticut's 193-year history, and certainly the first in the 30 years since the town had police records. The following day, paranormal investigator Lorraine Warren told the police that it was her belief that Arne Johnson was possessed when he killed Alan Bono. Did Arne Johnson's trial mark the first time that demonic possession had been used as a defense in U.S. courts? Yes. 8 months after the homicide, Arne Johnson's lawyer, Martin Minella, attempted to enter a plea of not guilty due to demonic possession. Minella argued that Arne Johnson killed Alan Bono while under the devil's spell, stating that his client was possessed by a demon, and it was a demon who actually manipulated his body. It was the first known court case in United States history where the defense had sought to prove innocence based on a claim of demonic possession. As word of the unusual defense spread to the media, the trial became known as the Devil Made Me Do It case. It made headlines around the world, and paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were famous for their involvement in the Amityville horror case, were thrust back into the spotlight. Minella told the New York Times, "The courts have dealt with the existence of God. Now they're going to have to deal with the existence of the devil." The lawyer, Martin Minella, is depicted as a female in the movie and renamed Merrill. Did the judge in Arne Johnson's murder trial forbid the demon defense? Yes. Judge Robert J. Callahan promptly rejected the idea of a defense based on demonic possession. Callahan stated that no such defense could ever exist in a court of law due to a lack of evidence. He stated that it would be irrelative and unscientific to allow testimony related to such a defense. Arne Johnson's lawyer, Martin Minella, had to give up the argument of demonic possession and instead decided to argue that Johnson acted in self-defense. Did the jury find Arne Johnson guilty? Yes. In researching the Conjuring 3 true story, we learned that the jury deliberated for 15 hours over the course of 3 days. On November 24, 1981, Arne Johnson was convicted of first-degree manslaughter and sentenced to 10 to 20 years in prison.
Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If that's what happened, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel for more true stories.